You hear that? It's the calm before the storm. You hear nothing, but you'll hear a lot this weekend as the storm commences at Globe Life Field, and we talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Ready to batten down the hatches, get out your rain gear, board up the windows, whatever it takes. There's a storm a-brewing as we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios and welcome you to the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here, Jeff Wilson there. The cat, Queen Cat, is over there, and we did just a wonderful gesture for her, Jeff, setting this place up.
We sure did. I thought about it much of the night, what we were going to do.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, Kat was running a little late today, so thanks to Ryan Vaughters, who actually did this yesterday. We set this up for Kat, and so hats off to you, Ryan, and thank you. It's an off day for the Rangers. It is not an off day for you, though. We want you to join us, and we also want you to help us, if you would, with our Big Brothers and Big Sisters initiative. We're going all month with this. So today, just like the rest of this week, and I think it's only through tomorrow, but if you'll click on the button where you would normally do a super chat, well, you're donating money to a wonderful cause, Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So we'll talk more about that and more about our great partnership with Big Brothers, Big Sisters throughout the course of the hour. But for now, let's just talk about this Rangers team who, Jeff, in many ways, and it wound up being a good, not great road trip.
Right.
But they were 4-2. And in many ways, I think, go into the series with the Astros with an advantage, right? They're at home. The Astros are playing tonight, right? Against the Yankees. They've had these two spirited games thus far. We'll also talk more about that later. But I think the Rangers may have, despite the injuries they've been suffering, they have a slight advantage.
I think so, and the Rangers have played really well against the Astros this year. Keep that in mind. Now the Astros are, I say they're getting healthy on the pitching side, but they lost Spencer Arrighetti, who was supposed to start the opener on Friday. So that's still kind of a TBA situation. I don't know if they'll call somebody up from Sugarland or if they'll do a bullpen game. I would doubt a bullpen game, just based on the fact that they've played, have played this Yankee series without the benefit of the day off, and the Angels wraparound weekend series without the benefit of the day off. So that's another thing. They're going to come in late tonight. Granted, it's a short flight. Shouldn't be too taxing a turnaround, but nevertheless, they still haven't had a day off in a week, and so yeah, there are a lot of things that are adding up that are pointing, hey, Rangers going to win this series.
Yeah. One of them that unfortunately does not appear pointing in the upward direction or a positive direction for the Rangers right now is after the game yesterday, we saw some comments from Bruce Bochy, and it looks like Adolis, at least as of yesterday. Now, again, he has today too, and pregame tomorrow, but it looks like Adolis is not making a lot of progress towards possibly even being able to pinch hit this weekend, Jeff.
Yeah, and again, it's a grade 2 strain.
Right.
It's not like he got hit by a pitch and has a bruise. I mean, it's a pretty severe strain. It's not the worst. A grade 3 is the worst. So it might have been asking a lot for Adolis to pinch hit. Now, if he wants to go in and get some treatment today, do some things that could possibly help it, great. But as of right now, it seemed a little bit ambitious and optimistic to expect that he would be able to do anything this weekend. And the Rangers do have another series against the Astros coming up, so maybe get them ready for that one in what is it, 9-10 days. But I don't know that you need to push it. If you can get him back. Remember, in 23 he got hurt and spent 10 days on the injured list in September. That's what brought Evan Carter to the major leagues. And it looks like the Rangers are still potentially going to have something to play for in what would be 10 days off for Adolis. Yep. So, maybe IL him, backdate it, get him back early next week, maybe for the road trip to New York to face the Mets, and see if he can do something then. But yeah, don't push it. Don't,
right.
Because it technically it could get worse.
Right. And as long as the hope is still alive, you'll need him more later than now. If hope still lives, because you could really, really do damage, get it to the grade 3, and then who knows if he'd even be able to play if they did make the postseason. The goal of doing that has certainly been bolstered over the course of the last 12 games. I mean, the Rangers swept 2 series. They won a series from the Angels. They did lose, and that's frankly disappointing that they lost that last series to the Diamondbacks. Certainly yesterday's game, with any offense as well as Jack Leiter pitched, was very winnable. And I don't want to say a sweep was, but the other side of that coin, Jeff, is if the Rangers didn't have that tremendous comeback in the Monday night game, they also could have been swept in Arizona, right? There's always two sides to that thing.
Sure, and now that it's over, there's nothing you can do about it. But again, like we said yesterday, winning that road trip in June, we've been like high-fiving each other. But after going 4-0 and having a chance to make up some more ground, the Mariners have lost 2 in a row, and there would have been a chance to make up ground there. But it's better than 2 and 4. Let's do the glass half full crowd here. And considering the way the Rangers have played on the road this season, it was a good road trip. But considering the circumstances and the need, the glass half empty crowd, they needed to go 5-1 or sweep all 6 games. After getting themselves in a position to do so. Yeah,
it would have helped. It does help though that like the first night that they lost the game on Tuesday night, I guess that was, both Seattle and Houston lost as well, right? So there's no harm, no foul there. Last night the Mariners lost again. They got swept, didn't they? They lost again, and so the Rangers didn't lose any ground in that wild card chase. They did lose some ground on the other one, but looky here, they remain just a game and a half behind the Mariners, and so that's good, right? I mean, that's a positive. As Kevin Gray walks out of here, having just had a big guest. They had Dirk Nowitzki on that Mavs podcast today, so that was pretty cool. But anyway, there's the American League West standings. Rangers now 5.5 out. Obviously, they don't even think about the Mariners in that realm, because if they're going to catch the Astros, obviously they've passed the Mariners, unless the Mariners do something crazy and go on some crazy win streak, which does not seem likely at this point. They seem to be very Seattle Mariner-like.
Yeah, Ryan Divish, the great Seattle Times Mariners beat guy, he wrote a story today or yesterday about are the Mariners wearing down? They've had 4 regulars play at least 135 games.
Wow,
that's a pretty big load. And it made me think of the 2012 Rangers, who were coming off of 2 trips to the World Series, so all those extra games over 2 straight years.
Yep.
And we saw the way it ended for them in September of 12. Did they wear down? And there was some thought that, Michael Young, who didn't have a great year that year, was tired, and there was some barking from the front office that Jerks and Profar needed to play more that season. And,
I remember that.
But Ron Washington wasn't going to go with Profar over Michael Young. So I think it's a legitimate thing. And then you look at their recent schedule. It's been East Coast, back home, East Coast. That's tough. It's tough on these guys. I mean, that's a 5-hour flight. 5.5 hours from Tampa. And I'm telling you, these West Coast teams that have to go east late in the year, I mean, it is a disadvantage. Say what you will about the Rangers playing in the American League West and having to go to the West Coast and us having to stay up late to watch the games. Being in Texas, in the center of the country, it's a pretty good travel spot. A lot of pro golfers live in DFW because of the travel, because it's easier travel. A lot of baseball players live here in the off season because of that. So there's something to that, and that will add to the fatigue of the 135 games. I think they're starting. Some of their starting pitchers should be healthy because they miss a lot of time early in the year, but they've leaned on their bullpen a lot. So I wonder if that's starting to crumble a little bit on them. But last night, it was 8-0 after 2 innings. So it didn't, whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
they were getting their butts handed to them early on.
They were. And look, the reality is it's common, but I think the travel probably does play into the commonality of Seattle fading at this time of the year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very unfortunate circumstance for them, but every trip they take is ridiculously long, and that's where it does. And this is a conversation for a completely different day, but where that whole business of reconfiguring the divisions and keeping all the West teams together, where Seattle and the others out there as well wouldn't have to travel east so often, that might make some sense. But like I say, conversation for a different day. We're going to talk about Jeff's column that he wrote about Jack Leiter a little later in the program, and maybe the overall pitching future of this team. And also, we've seen you alive with thoughts on that numbers game that we put out there, giving one number to the best player in DFW, 1 through 99. So we'll talk about that a little later on in the program too. But for now, more updates, including we mentioned it briefly yesterday on the program, but Tyler Mahle did not have a great showing in his first rehab start. You were pretty confident or pretty sure he was going to need at least 2 anyway. Mm-hmm. This ensures that.
Yeah, I think so. He's a big kind of a feel guy, and if you watch him go through spring training, it was good, but it was very methodical and kind of it felt like a slow build. You didn't hear a lot about Tyler Mahle in spring training.
No.
He made all of his starts, and none of them, there was no garbage start at any point really, but he needs to have his best command. That's the key for him, because he's not going to overwhelm anybody with velocity. He's got to be able to command all of his pitches, and give up 5 runs or whatever the other day in the start, and that's okay. At this point, he's trying to get work in. There's not a lot of time for him to get a ton of work in. So I would hope that he was able to find what was wrong, make some adjustments between starts, because I would be shocked if his next appearance is in the major leagues. It's just not. It just doesn't seem there yet. And yes, there's the whole, minor leaguers change their approach against big leaguers. They
Sure.
see a big leaguer, a guy with a big league name, and they just want to go out and start hacking. And he doesn't get a chance to work his normal sequences and things like that. But also the results would indicate that the pitches were not where Tyler usually puts them when he's successful.
Right, yeah, because Velo was very close.
Yeah.
He was hitting 91. He's usually a 92 guy. So the velo wasn't the problem. It was just placement and where the pitches were. To answer Rarity's question, I think Cole Winn will return this weekend. His rehab start or appearance went much better.
Yeah, he never really stopped throwing. He had the nerve thing in his hand, which you hear anytime you hear that, you think, oh God, it's thoracic outlet syndrome.
Yeah.
He did go see Dr. Gregory Pearl in Dallas, who's like the foremost expert on TOS, and he said, no, it's nothing to worry about. Keep doing your normal throwing program. So Cole should be ready here pretty soon. And hey, that's a shot in the arm.
Yes.
It really is. He's been really good this year.
Yeah,
so and that's a good thing to see, and he can go multiple innings. And it could be bad news for Caleb Bosley. Although, Bosley, this is his 5th time recalled, so if you option him again, you have to expose him to waivers. Anyway, I think they could probably sleep at night if they knew that they had to put Caleb Bosley on waivers.
Yeah, they'd probably be okay with that. Also, don't forget Chris Martin is back and made a couple of appearances. So that bullpen, again, assuming Wynn's back, which I think he will be, is getting the reinforcements it needs at a great time. When the schedule does get tough here, we talk about that and about the pitching future of this organization next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Oh, and we were talking yesterday about my friend Nicole, and I was so afraid that she'd was just out on me. I was like, oh my gosh, what'd I do? How'd I offend Nicole? I guess she had a 2-week vacation because suddenly I'm getting the emails from Nicole again.
Well, she deserves it, though. She works hard.
She's a hardworking young gal. And so the top of the list, top of everybody's list on Game Time right now is this series at Globe Life Field. And that is obviously the Astros and the Rangers. If you want tickets to one of those games, maybe you find yourself in Arlington on Saturday and go, geez, could I still get tickets? You can. Go to the Game Time app. They're the best at those late time tickets right before an event. Get the ticket. Go to Game Time. You can find out exactly where the seat is. There's not a bad seat at Globe Life Field anyway, but they have the whole map to show you where it'll be. Less fees than everybody else, and $20 off your first purchase with the code DLLS.
Yeah, and we're going to help you save money over at Branded Bills. Branded Bills, they're our official hat partner, and this is not a Branded Bills hat, but right now, Branded Bills, you saw it on Tuesday's show. I was wearing the TCU hat, which came from Branded Bills. They'll help you get your hats for a lot of your favorite college teams, including the University of Texas and Texas Tech, who are not my favorite college teams, but they might be yours. And then Branded Bills, whether you want a trucker-style hat or a fitted or even stocking cap, which they call beanies, they're going to help you get your brand out there. So like DLLS, for instance, could have some headwear coming out. Anyway, Branded Bills, they're the best. Great stuff. You really need to avail yourself to the deal that they have. For watching this show, if you use the code BBDLLS, you get 15% off your first order.
That's fantastic, and we appreciate you watching and talking Rangers with us as you do. And Boo, we always love to have Boo in the chat.
He's a good man.
It was a shame, big-time shame, to waste that good start by Leiter yesterday. And we talked yesterday, too, about how Gallen had not been great through much of the year. He did have a really good start to one before the Rangers game against the Dodgers. And then, and then he was in the strike zone. He was pitching very well yesterday, but perhaps not as good or only as good as Jack Leiter. And so you hate wasting that performance. I thought maybe, though, one of the greatest things that Leiter did yesterday, and I think David Murphy mentioned this, you could just see after he allowed a run in each of the first 2 innings, could have been 2 in that first inning, but a great
defensive play by Zeke.
Great play by Ezekiel Duran. But anyway, Murph noticed he made a change. He made an adjustment. And in-game adjustments for young players are much more difficult than they are for a veteran. So, boy, that's another sign of growth, Jeff, from Jack Leiter.
Yeah, and you it came to mind just now at the end of like a college basketball season or a football season, when they get to game 10 and they're talking about freshmen, they say, oh, well, they're not freshmen anymore. They've played, 10 games. They've got experience. Well, Jack Leiter is a rookie.
Yeah.
He pitched last year a little bit in the major leagues, and now this is his first full season. He maintained his rookie status. He's really not a rookie anymore, and you're starting to see that on the mound. His last 3 starts have been terrific. He is making those in-game adjustments. He's been listening to Evaldi and DeGrom on the bench, and I asked DeGrom about it, and DeGrom said, well, that's mostly Evo doing the talking. But anyway, and then he Leiter followed a Evo game plan against the A's, and Jack has struggled on the road. So his last 2 starts being on the road, that's an encouraging sign. Something that an older pitcher does is you talk about the young guys who struggle on the road. They get better on the road as they get older and more experienced. And so you're seeing these signs of growth. And it was the adjustment. His innings became more efficient. And the thing that I wrote about and that he's had the hardest time doing, Jack, is trusting his stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've talked about the stuff is there. Even when he was struggling at Frisco, they're like, oh, the stuff is there. He just, whatever it was. So, and that's the hardest thing for pitchers to master or to overcome is like, if I throw it over the plate, is it going to get hit hard?
Right.
And you have to trust that it's not. And DeGrom was really good about it. And, he was talking about how, and it's not just, you throw a pitch and it's a good pitch, but maybe you thought it should have been better. You got to trust that what the pitch you just threw is good enough. And so Jacob said, even now, I've got, he's 10 plus years in the league. Even now, I try to make a pitch that just worked better. And I have to fight myself to trust this stuff. Whereas, Jack made the comment, you look at DeGrom, he just goes out there and throws it. So whatever it is, Jack's taken that step. And you kind of go back and think about some of these starts here that he's made. I think it was against the Braves. He was given this huge lead early on, and he just went out there and started throwing strikes.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, look at that. I'm throwing strikes, throwing my stuff in the strike zone, and they're not having any success with it. So I think that really had a big impact on Jack to make him realize pitching with the lead, okay, great. It's the same as when it's not, when you're down 2-0 or when it's 1-1 or if you're up 2-1. If you put your good stuff over the plate, they're not going to hit it very hard or they're going to swing through it. And he had 8 strikeouts yesterday. A lot of those came after the second inning against some good hitters. So this is looking forward. That's kind of the theme of the story I wrote. The Rangers have DeGrom and Eovaldi back, which is amazing, right? But then who? Because Malley and John Gray are going to free agency.
Sure. And
then Cody Bradford is injured, won't be available till the summertime. Kumar Rocker right now is in a pretty heavy development phase and hasn't been throwing in games. And so it's like, gosh, what are they going to do with this rotation? Well, they have a guy, Jack Leiter, whether he's their 3rd starter or their 5th starter, whatever. They can count on Jack Leiter being in the rotation next year. Now, beyond that, that's kind of where the questions come in. I'm huge on Jake Latz. Everybody, I'm just as I was the leader of the Blaine Krim fan club, I'm pretty high on Jake Latz, and I think he could do it. There's going to be a free agent brought in, at least one, maybe more than one.
Or maybe keep one of their own, Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, try to re-sign Merrill Kelly, who had some pretty strong comments about he would be very open to returning to the Diamondbacks, which is where he was from.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But he also said, this is my shot at free agency.
Yeah.
I got to get the best deal I can.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point is, this is a huge year for Jack Leiter. He came in with questions. The Rangers had questions. He needed to be good. And also this goes back to our time we had T.R. Sullivan on and how he talked about how important it was for the Rangers to develop Leiter and Rocker. Well, they're 1 for 2. And they're trying to go 2 for 2 by pulling Rocker out of action and having him work on stuff. But they've done well with Leiter. Had to do it. 2nd overall pick, you can't miss.
Nope.
And so, there's a long way to go with Jack Leiter. Can't say that the draft pick is a raving success, but right now, it looks pretty good. He's making it look good.
He is. And look, they're following a similar approach with Rocker, which, of course, is the other big part of this pitching future. Perhaps not next year. But they're following a similar approach with Rocker that they did with Leiter, and that approach seemed to have worked so well. Theoretically, you could almost see next year for Kumar Rocker being such as last year was for Jack Leiter, right? Where at the end of the year, he gets, because didn't Leiter came up, he wasn't a September call-up. He came up a little.
Last year, he made his major league debut in Detroit in May.
And
A spot start. He had a few spot starts, and then he was up for all of September, but he was a reliever.
Yes,
and it was kind of some mixed results in there. But to your point, after they took Jack out of competition in 23 in the toward the middle of that season and had him work pretty much on the side with Jordan Teagues, who's now the bullpen coach.
Yeah.
Jack came back in 24 and was the AAA, the Pacific Coast League Pitcher of the Year. That is a tough pitcher's league.
Yes, it is.
All right. And yeah, he was sprinkled into the big leagues and it didn't look good. But if you looked at what he was doing at AAA, where you have to be around the plate because of the ABS system. So, but then he comes up here, maybe he's giving the big league hitters too much credit, whatever it was. Rocker could be on that plan right now where he's kind of out of action. Maybe he ends up pitching in the fall league. That wouldn't surprise me. And then you see him next year, maybe start at AAA and be used like Leiter was in 24. We'll see. A lot can happen. But Rarity's asked, would the Rangers consider Valdez this offseason? I don't think so.
I hope not.
I don't think he's a Chris Young kind of guy.
No.
You always got to include the makeup component with Chris Young, and I don't think Chris Young wants a guy who potentially would intentionally throw at his own catcher.
No, and so many professionals have weighed in on this. I saw AJ Przinsky, a former Ranger. I saw Dallas Braden. I think he's still announcing for the Athletics.
Right.
And both these guys say 100% no doubt it was, and AJ was great. AJ says, I tell you what I would have done. As soon as he turned back around, I would have fired a ball right at the back of his knees. And I believe AJ. I mean, he had that streak in him. I like AJ. He had that streak in him. He says, I would have fired one right at his knees and say, there you go. You threw the damn pitch. I may have called it. You threw it. And there's still some doubt as to whether or not he even called it. But anyway, so, I wouldn't – I don't – again, who wants a guy like that seems to be – he's always had this ornery edge to him. I've never interviewed or, I know it's through an interpreter, but I've never interviewed Valdez. But
I haven't either. But just watching from afar, it seems a little about him. And that doesn't work with Chris Young, and boy, that AJ, that's pretty funny. We voted him the Harold McKinney Good Guy of the Year for his one season. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, AJ Przinsky, what a jerk, and he was so good with the media, and now he's in the media. But he and Yu Darvish were cross, and they've since become more friendly. But there was one start in Oakland where AJ was just fuming because Darvish wouldn't throw his fastball. And AJ was just like, this guy needs to throw his fastball. It's such a good pitch. Why won't he throw it? And anyway, I liked AJ. Yeah, I still do. I still do like AJ.
Yeah, and that comment is part of the reason why. But yeah, but that's the first thing I thought of was, oh yeah, that's not a Chris Young guy. If all these other major league or former major league players recognize it for what it is. I haven't seen any that take the Valdez side.
Nobody's on
this, right? Right. So Chris Young, of all people, a former pitcher, sees exactly what went down there, and that is not something that Chris Young would like. It's not something that he would ever want to be a part of this organization. And look, he also he knows pitching, right? That finally the development, as we talk the future of pitching, the development of pitchers is just really taking off with this organization.
Yeah, and it needs to because they traded away a lot of guys. But
they did.
Just since the start of the show, David Davalillo, who started the year at High A Hub City, he was named the Texas League Pitcher of the Month. He seems to find success every level he goes, and so he's kind of part of the next wave, along with Teodo, who's kind of taken a step back this year, a
Yeah.
lot of injury issues, but you talk about Jose Corniel and Winston Santos.
Yeah.
Those are guys who are A, on the 40-man roster, and B, coming back from injuries, but performing well. They're the next group, and they're a little further away though. They're not. They're probably Rocker is now atop that group, I would say. So it's like Rocker and then those guys. So there's a gap there, but the Rangers need some of these guys to develop. And again, these injured guys are all candidates for the fall league.
Sure.
To help them make up for innings and then be ready to go to a normal offseason and go through the normal offseason, be ready for spring training.
Yeah. More coming up as we continue to talk baseball. Rangers with you. Also up next, we're going to take a look at that number grid that all DLLS put out there. DLLS Sports assigned a number to 1 through 99, one to every player who was the best wearing that number in this market. We talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
You know what, guys? You have an opportunity coming up next Saturday. This is a big deal for us with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Cigars and Conversations. It takes place, like I said, the 13th of September, 2 to 6 p.m. at the Casa de Monte Cristo Lounge. It's an opportunity for you to, A, sit back with a stogie, probably a little finer quality than like you think of as a stogie.
Oh, yeah.
These are fine cigars, a complimentary drink, probably I'd go with the bourbon. But anyway, sit back, talk to leaders from across the city, leaders with Big Brothers and Big Sisters to find out how to become a mentor to some great kids who just need a little guidance. That's all it is. And, Anthony Andro, who may come on our show next week to help us with some Do It for Dirt stuff, will speak glowingly about Big Brothers and Big Sisters because he was one for years. So again, join us for our event. You must RSVP to attend September 13th from 2 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Another easy one is to just get ready to take a trip with the Cowboys. You've seen through that America's Team documentary just how much fun it can be on the road with the Cowboys. Well, we're giving you a chance to join our Cowboys crew and the Cowboys on the road in Las Vegas, November the 15th through the 18th. The 17th is a Monday, I guess, and so they're playing a Monday night football game that night in Vegas, so you need to be there. It'd be really cool. It's the first time they've played the Raiders since they moved to Las Vegas, and that's an all-inclusive trip that is brought to you by our friends at True Fan Travel. They take care of the plane, the hotel, and the ticket to the game. As we've said many times, you're on your own for the rest, but True Fan Travel is the place to go. All right, so these numbers, it's inspired so much back and forth in the chat that we thought we'd take a look at some of them, mostly as it pertains to the Rangers. But again, I've covered pretty much every team in the market for, going on
100 years.
Going on 40 years, believe it or not. I mean, I'm past 35 anyway.
Yeah, you got to round up at this point.
Yeah, let's round up when you're my age. And of course, there's probably an argument for almost every number. I did find it wonderfully fun, Jeff, that Pudge Rodriguez made the list twice.
What?
3 and 7. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they gave that one to the 7 is Pudge.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to discount what Alex Rodriguez did, even though it was such a short time.
It was. So somebody needs to beef up the number 3 here in one of our teams. What number is Cooper Flagg going to be?
Yeah, that's a good question.
32 or something like that?
Yeah, he's a low number, I'm pretty sure.
He's not going to beat Josh Hamilton for a while. 5 is interesting because it was given to Corey Seager.
Yeah.
It's been really good, but Ian Kinsler was number 5.
He was.
And he's in the Rangers Hall of Fame. Now, Corey Seager was the MVP of the only World Series the Rangers have ever won, so I get that one.
I think they're betting, too, on the remainder.
On the future.
Right?
Yeah.
On the remainder. Because, again, I think the body of work, I mean, Ian Kinsler was a big part of 2 World Series
for
teams,
sure,
right?
For sure.
And other teams that were really good. But I get it. I don't it's hard to dispute that one too much.
Yeah. Now the one question I had, and I admit that I did not participate as I should have in the building of this roster.
Yeah.
Baseball is the only sport in which their managers or head coaches are assigned a jersey number.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if we could have done a little bit better with 38 and given that one to Ron Washington.
Yep.
I don't know if Bruce Bochy at 15 would have outfoxed Brad Davis, but that was something else I thought about.
Yeah, and again, Vern Fiddler's a nice player, but I'm not sure it's better than Ron Washington,
right,
in that regard. And you're right. Yeah, you don't think about them. Yeah. What number was Johnny Oates?
26. Does that sound right?
26.
Yuri Littman?
You can't knock Yuri out of there.
Well, then right next to 26 is 27. Vlad Guerrero was only here 1 year.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing one.
That's 27 is a pretty strong number. You'd think that
that's pretty amazing that only there's nobody with 27 that has more of a body of work than Vlad Guerrero.
And like 30. It seems like there would be another 30 out there.
Then Neftali, I know.
Feliz.
I thought so too. He was one of the numbers I was going to maybe quibble with, but I don't have a better 30 as a choice, although Isaac Holt wore 30 when he was with the Cowboys. But and he was helping them get to Super Bowls, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Mitch Moreland, I like at 18, but it does seem like there would be other 18s, another really good number that might have a bigger body of work.
Yeah, like a quarterback, though. But how many quarterbacks are you really going to have?
True.
True.
And Juan absolutely
100% two-time MVP. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
I do now. As we look forward, let's say we do this again in 4 years. Will 48 be Jacob deGrom?
Yeah.
Potentially.
And Moose is good.
Moose is good. Won a lot of Super Bowls.
Moose is a really good one. He was a leader of that team. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if DeGrom becomes the first Rangers player to win a Cy Young, let's say.
Yeah.
And then also, I guess, Dandy Don Meredith there at 17. Evaldi is 17. Now, that's another tough one.
That's a real
tough one.
Yeah.
But if you talk about a guy who went 5-0 in the postseason.
Yeah.
Was the winning pitcher in the clinching game of the World Series. Was having a fabulous campaign this year before the injury. And he's still got 2 more years. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on some of these. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm going to keep an eye on some.
Some of them are absolutely worth watching. I was glad to see Derek Holland make the list at 45. It's a unique number, and I can't think of a 45 that I necessarily like better. Now, and Charlie Huff, too. 49's a weird number, right? 49's a weird number.
Usually reserved for deep snappers.
Right. 59 is also a weird number.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you. I'm going I'm a Ranger guy, and I'm going Dat Win over Jeff Zimmerman.
Yeah.
Zimmerman.
It was a short shelf life.
His story was fantastic. Yeah. His story was so great. He was, working on a dock or something, and he had decided not to pitch anymore.
It's very Chris Martin-like.
Yeah.
Boo. Thank you. Dan Reeves, number 30.
Okay.
Well,
that's a pretty good 30.
Led the Broncos to 3 Super Bowls as a coach. All right. Didn't do very well in any of those, but
no. And it is weird. The 9s are number 9, and I've seen lots of debate about this, of which there should be none. Mike Modano.
What is Romo the other one?
Yeah, and I love Tony. I really do. I love Tony. Mike Modano is 9 in this market.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
he's arguably the best American hockey player ever.
He probably is. And
I thought you were talking Hank Blaylock, like the Hank Blaylock crowd is piping up or something. But
it was Romo. It was the Hank Blaylock crowd. Oh, that's fantastic. So 19, we already said Gonzalez. Juan belongs there, and thank God that at 29. That everybody did right.
Yeah.
And, that's a no-brainer also. Adrian Beltre at 29. So
and
I feel like if you have a statue,
you're good.
Your number.
That's you get the number.
Yeah. Well, and then for a while there in basketball, it was a rule. and I don't know, maybe it didn't apply to the NBA, but when I refereed basketball growing up, you couldn't, all the numbers, you had to be able to count them on one hand. So the highest number was 55.
Right.
You couldn't have a 17. Now, I mean, Dr. J was 6, but like Magic Johnson, 32, Bird, 33, Jordan, 23. You didn't have these 77s, no offense, Luka.
Yeah.
Just
foul
so
on
anyway,
77.
I wonder if that is why there aren't a lot of 9s out there in the basketball world, and above 5.
Possibly.
So
yeah,
anyway.
That may have something to do with it. Who the hell is?
What number was AC Green? Was he 45? Not to compete with Derek Holland.
No. Yeah. And who the hell's Carr? Who am I forgetting?
Cowboys Carr. I don't
39.
know.
Who's Carr?
I don't know anything about.
There must not be any 39s. I don't know who.
Yeah,
the hell
we're gonna
Carr
put.
is.
We're just gonna put Wash in there.
Yeah. And by the way,
Brandon Carr. It says.
AC Green is 45.
So Brandon Carr.
Good gosh.
We're
39's weak. And I'll tell you what else is
Wash.
weak. 40.
Oh, Wash 38. I think
38.
Wash wore 39 once upon a time.
Okay.
Though, I thought. 37. All
40,
right, we're sticking with Wash.
40's weak. And I love James Donaldson when he was here. He was the nicest man. And, I remember when he got traded, I went over to his house and interviewed him, and he actually signed one of his big size 22 shoes for me. I didn't ask for it. He just gave it to me. I really like James Donaldson. But are you kidding me? James Donaldson is the best 40 we had. I like Sean Lee at 50. And, so and of course, once you get into the 60s and 70s and 80s, for that matter,
talking linemen,
it's almost all Cowboys.
Yeah,
obviously.
Some hockey players there popping up in the 90s.
Yeah, you sneak a few in there. Sagan's in there, and Matt Duchene and Rantanen. Boy, that's a he
hearing that one pretty quick.
Yeah, he hasn't been here long, but you talk about betting on the upside there. But I think there's tremendous upside there. So trying to see if there were any. I love the Ken Norton Jr. inclusion on that thing. Oh yeah, 41. He was on the Mavs show today. Not an awesome number. I wasn't actually trying to swear, Kat. I just misspoke on awesome. But anyway, 41.
Awesome.
I was going to say it could have sounded like I was. It could have sounded like I was going to say a kicking, but I really was just misspeaking. Awesome. And then right next to Dirk is Roy Tarpley, and that's a guy where you're almost giving him that one based on not what could be, but what could have been.
Yeah.
That guy was otherworldly talent-wise.
Yeah. And then really, baseball players are now exempted from that number because it's Jackie Robinson's number, which has been retired. And there weren't, the Rangers have any great 42s ahead of that. But yeah, that, Tarpley, that was, I don't know what you call it. I don't want to call it a tragedy, just a shame.
Yeah, it was a crying shame.
Fighting your demons, and drug addiction is a disease. Josh Hamilton is still dealing with it and dealt with it back then. One was able to somehow squeak by, and then poor old Roy couldn't get it done. But yeah. This is a fun exercise.
It was really fun. I liked the debate, and Book, a really good call on Bill Bates at 40. Bill Bates was unbelievable. He wasn't even mostly a special teams guy, right? He wasn't even much of a starter, but he was a hero around here, and God bless him. He is going through, some of the horrible effects of too many hits. I think,
boy,
now, and he is. He's struggling, but anyway, big nod to Bill Bates, and thank you, Boo, for bringing that one up. But there are many that you could debate, and I thought it was a pretty fun exercise, like you did, Jeff, as our guys came up with all these different numbers, and we didn't really, as far as I know, there was no real debate over them, but maybe there was, and I missed that day at school, but anyway, it's a pretty fun list to go over and to ponder. So we hope that you have enjoyed our quick discussion of that as well. And we get back to baseball next as we continue on the DLLS Rangers podcast. And we want to remind you about our merchandise that's available at store.allcitynetwork.com. Shirts like that, shirts like the ones that both Jeff and I are wearing.
That's right.
Very color coordinated are we today, but not wearing the same shirt, so we're okay there. And anyway, these are fun. They're eye-catching, and people will ask you, what's DLLS? What is that? And you can tell them, oh, man, it's this awesome place where you can go to get podcasts and to get information and to get all kinds of fun sports talk, right? So that's what we're here for. And so do us a favor, go there, get these great shirts or other merchandise that's available and represent and let everybody know that we are out here. $36, $34.99 actually is what you pay for the shirts. So, and then there's this whole $36 football diehard offer, Jeff.
Yeah, and my shirt, which Ardell loves, very subliminal messaging here too. Become a diehard. Don't just buy our shirts. Become the diehard. Take advantage of this offer, which is phenomenal. $3 a month. You get a choice of 3 shirts to join the football club, and our podcasts are free. Which we enjoy, and we appreciate you guys taking advantage of that. But our stories, at least the vast majority of them, are not free. You need to have a diehard membership to access them, like the Leiter story I wrote yesterday afternoon, and any stories that I plan on writing this weekend will be behind the paywall, so you'll have to be a diehard to access those. You also get 20% off our events, like the trip to Vegas through True Fan Travel. Just do it. Become a diehard today.
So lots to talk about in our cleanup segment, and we'll see if we can circle back to a couple of Rangers topics here at the very end. But how about the immaculate inning from Mason Miller?
Yeah.
9 pitches and 9 strikes, right? For 3 strikeouts, that's the immaculate inning. When you strike out the side on 9 pitches.
Yeah. But
this one was even more amazing than most because Mason Miller threw a strike that was taken, a good pitch that was taken for a strike as the first pitch of that inning. And then there were 8 straight swing and misses at the slider.
All sliders.
All sliders. 8 straight swing and misses. I mean, it's like, who needs pitch con, right? It's just like, I'm throwing sliders. A little bit like back in the day when Mariano Rivera was just throwing cutters.
Straight cutter. Yeah.
And you knew what he was coming or what was coming, and it didn't matter. You weren't going to hit it. And that's about where Mason Miller is right now. Ironically, Padres lost that game, Jeff.
They did, and they got swept by the Orioles at home. And so now that's kind of created some distance there in the National League West. Although the Dodgers still aren't playing great, but you can't lose those series like that.
No,
and I still like the Padres though. I still like the idea of them getting into the postseason and only needing to get 5-6 innings tops out of their starting pitcher before they turn it over to a bullpen that, yes, is going to lose Jason Adam, but has a guy who can strike 3 batters out on 9 sliders.
Yep,
they're closing things out. So something to eyeball there, something to watch is how that kind of shakes out. See if the Padres can recover and make any noise as they had been doing there the last couple of weeks.
Well, and they just loaded up so much at the trade deadline. Mason Miller among them, J.P. Sears among them, and frankly, it completely decimated, for the most part, their minor league system, right? And that's the trade-off. If you're going to load up, so gosh, this is their shot, and they better hope that this shot, is good enough because it'll be a minute before they're going to be able to rebuild through their own organizational prowess.
Yeah, and that is something that AJ Preller, who made his mark, I guess, in internationally and helping the Rangers build a good farm system with international talent. Pushed the envelope a few times, got suspended once for doing it. They're still very active and good there. The prospect they traded away, one of them to get Miller was Leo DeVries, who's was a top 100 prospect, in the game. And you look at the Rangers, and anytime you're a contender, that's what happens. The Astros, for all have their farm system's no good. The Rangers are struggling right now if their farm system, because they've contended the last 3 years and have made deals to supplement the big league roster, and that's why that's half the reason why you have a farm system.
Yep.
One reason is to develop talent for the major league team. The other reason is to trade them away to get talent for the major league team.
Yep.
And so that's why it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Rangers. No matter what happens here the last month, they need to replenish the farm system. And they're very bullish on their draft class, but okay, great. There's a gap. They need some upper level minor league prospects, and maybe you can get those through a trade for, say, Jonah Heim. Maybe you can trade Jonah Heim and get somebody or
Adolis
Garcia,
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but the Padres, but AJ will reacquire some minor league talent somewhere along the way.
Yeah. He kind of wrote the book on this in some ways. So, and he learned, obviously right there with John Daniels in this organization. So, they go way back to college.
Right.
I don't know if they were roommates, but
they were fraternity.
They were fraternity brothers in college. So, anyway, fireworks in a way last night in Houston as the Yankees' 8-game winning streak at Daikon Park, and obviously it wasn't Daikon when the streak began. So their 8-game winning streak in Houston came to an end last night. They lost for the first time in 9 games there. And both Devin Williams and Aaron Boone were ejected in this game. And Brian Walsh, who was the home plate umpire, missed 21 calls.
Holy crap.
21, Jeff, on balls and strikes. 15 of those went against the Yankees.
Oh yeah, if I had seen the umpire scorecard on that one, I would have. And there was another. I don't think it was last night, but the night before, Gonzalez in the Mariners game was awful.
Was it?
Yeah. What's going on here?
I don't know. Are these guys trying to make sure that it's all robots calling the balls and strikes in the future? I don't know. That is ridiculous. And Devin, at one point, and he walked in the winning run. So obviously, at the time,
run.
The tie-breaking run.
Okay, yeah.
Because the Yankees came back and scored 3 in the 9th inning. But anyway, he walked in that run that made it 5-4, and he shouted to Walsh, "You've missed 4 now. That's 4 of mine you've missed," and that got him tossed. And I don't know. I don't. To me, that's not the magic word, right?
If you're, these guys, they know if they're having a bad game, and you talk to them, you're showing them up, and they get all upset and get their panties in a wad, and it's just bad that they're in this position. They're doing this to themselves,
right? There it is.
There you go. Yeah, there you see 85% called strike accuracy. Come on, and there's the grace period, not the grace period, but the boundary beyond the boundary,
right?
That they grade on. So they kind of grade them on a curve, but not ump scorecards, but I think the umpires evaluators do that. It's just terrible, right?
Yeah.
And some of these guys are getting younger. You do see some younger umpires, maybe a fresher crop than you were used to seeing with all the old guys like Bill Miller, who is very old.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's still umping, but there he was yesterday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago behind the plate for the Rangers game? Those guys are starting to fall off and go by the wayside. But it's these young guys need to clean it up, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That sort of inconsistency is just terrible, and especially when 15 of those calls. It's one thing if you say, well, he's terrible, but he was terrible for both sides, right? But when he's terrible and it's 15-6 on missed calls, that's just ridiculous and doesn't seem like a coincidence. It probably was. I'm not suggesting Brian Walsh cares if the Astros or Yankees win that game, but 15-6 is a pretty big disparity, and ended up getting two guys tossed out of the game as a result of it. So it should be fun there tonight again. And I saw somebody in the chat much earlier saying big Yankees fan tonight, and certainly, yeah, we all are, because that if the Astros come in here sort of limping, having lost 2 of 3, having just dealt with the whole Framber Valdez situation that we were talking about earlier in the show, Mist, I agree. That makes all of us, want to kind of put on our pinstripes tonight.
Okay, so if you're a Rangers fan and the best outcome tonight in that game is an Astros loss, but like how would they lose? What's the best way for them to lose? I would think it would be a short day for their starter.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
lots of bullpen
let's say it's
needed.
6-0 after 3.
Yeah.
The starter's got to go. But then the Astros make a little push and make it close. So they can't
they can't go to a position player.
Position player. So they have to use some good relievers here. Maybe even they take a lead. And now they've got to go into the meat of their bullpen, and then they lose in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah. And then they've used basically the entire bullpen.
Right.
If that's the case. So come on, Yankees. Is that too much to ask? We need 6 in the first inning.
We've given you the script.
Yeah. We need 6 in the first inning. And get the starter out of there quick. So that seems like a possibility. The Brewers roll on despite the fact, and again, right now it's just being called soreness, but Christian Yelich, who's had back surgery and a history of back trouble, was scratched from yesterday's game. They say he won't play today either because of back soreness. And you've had the back surgery, Jeff, so know.
It's no fun.
You just don't want to. That's just you don't want to hear that if you're a Brewers fan. Just like we wouldn't want to hear in the middle of a nice run that Evan Carter needs some. Oh, he's got to sit in the back.
Right,
back.
Exactly.
I don't mind if he. I'd mind, but it's not as bad if he breaks a wrist, right? That's going to happen. But a back would be a little more demoralizing.
Well, the thing that I realized, I had a herniated disc, not like I had a fusion or anything, is that you use your core, including your back, for everything, everything you do.
Yep.
And it's shocking. It was shocking to me. And so, you hate it for Yelich because he's been a good guy throughout his career. And really, when you look at the Brewers lineup, you're like, all right, who's our best player who could carry us if he gets hot and we need somebody like Corey Seager?
Right.
It's probably him right now.
Yeah, I think so.
And so to lose that guy would be a pretty big blow. Plus, he's on my fantasy team, which is in second place and needs a late push.
Yeah,
so
you need him.
I need Christian too.
Yeah. And they ended up winning the game, by the way, because they just do that. They just figure out ways. And it was bark at the park in Milwaukee yesterday. And they were playing the Phillies, by the way. Bark at the park. So what they did is they made each of the Phillies a cat on the scoreboard, Jeff. We've seen funny little things on Star Wars nights and stuff on the road. There's Bryce Harper, the little tabby cat there. So I thought that was pretty fun. They got all the dogs fired up, I guess, Jeff, at Bark at the Park.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a baseball odyssey. There was an inning, Jose Quintana pitching for the Brewers. He had a 1-2-3 inning in which every out was 1-3. So every out was a ball back to the pitcher, throw to first base. So that hadn't happened in 8 years. I'm surprised it had happened, but it has happened, but it's been a while. So
meow.
That's right.
Just saying. I'm just saying. All right, so that's it. Man, watch for some of our content over the course of the next days. We hate that we won't be here tomorrow or on Saturday, but we will be back Sunday to wrap up this Astros series, and we hope then that we're feeling as good now as we do now, I should say, about the Rangers' chances. They need to just have a good. All they need to do is win 2 out of 3, Jeff.
Win 2 out of 3. Sweep would be nice, but can't lose the series. That's it. You just can't lose the series.
There you go.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for. We thank you for joining us this day and this week, as always, and we'll see you again on Sunday for a post-game edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.